What's up, board game people? It's news time again, and we have another great lineup of stories. While this might be the slow season for new crowdfunding projects, things are really heating up in the industry in general, as many new products will be hitting shelves soon, big business moves are being made, and we have some amazing updates from huge projects. Before we begin, I don't get any money from publishers or game companies for making my videos. Live on Kickstarter now, we have Project EOS Rise entering the last day of their campaign, and they're so close to funding. They're still fighting for it, and I hope they make it, or that they come back stronger than ever with their next attempt. If you're gonna hop in on this one, now's the time. We also have SAS Rogue Regiment inching close to the final week of their campaign, with a ton of stretch goals unlocked and more to come soon. If you like stealth tactical games, this is one to check out. I have a campaign guide releasing for it tomorrow. As for coming up this week, it gets a bit thin around this time of year. The only game that really caught my eye this week was the reprint of Soul Last Days of a Star, where you control a spaceship trying to escape the gravitational pull of your star, which is about to die and take you with it. First up, this may be old news to some, but I haven't had a chance to mention it, so I want to make sure all the backers of Nanolith know. The pledge manager for Nanolith is now open. Shipping was very fair for my deluxe pledge, and the pledge manager was simple enough to figure out. Choose your pledge, it isn't filled in for you. Choose your add-ons, pay shipping, and any difference, and done. In Nanolith news, the production contract has been signed with Longpack, and they have a production slot for 2023. Now the most important thing is testing everything until it breaks no more. If you want to get in on a test game, hop on their Discord server and they'll find you a slot. If you took advantage of the Kingdom Death pre-orders that happened shortly before the holiday season, be on the lookout for your goods. My Vignette of Death, White Gigalion, appeared at my doorstep just the other day. Big news for Atmosfear or Nightmare. The games have been manufactured. Sadly, there's currently a lockdown at the shipping port, which will cause a slight delay, but they still expect packages to arrive in the late January to early February timeline that they last announced. If you haven't paid for your shipping, no goodies for you. Get it paid already. The pledge manager for Gotham City Chronicles Season 3 and the RPG will be opening December 15th and will stay open until April 15th. News from the board game is that all sculptures are done and the mold making process has begun. The illustrations, tiles, hero cards, and equipment cards are all complete as well. The revised rulebooks are being proofed in both languages, and the solo and co-op rules are undergoing small corrections. Testing for a new Eden and Gotham City in Flames is in the final stages. For the role-playing game, all illustrations are done except for the Gotham City map. The text for the core book and adventure books is written and translated and are going through editing now. The Gotham City Guide is in the final stages of being updated with some of the most recent information from the comics. Most other components are being prepared for printing tests. Expect to hear more from me on this one when the PM is live and I've had time to dig through it. Let's get this one out of the way. Mythic announced this week that they're selling off several of their IPs to Monolith and CMON. They're doing this to trim the fat from the company and allow them to focus on delivering their projects to backers, and then allowing the company to focus on a limited number of SKUs, namely Hell, Anastyr, and Darkest Dungeon in the future. So it seems we'll be seeing more of these titles to come. They're reorganizing the company, which is corpo speak for axing people, and digitizing the company, geezer speak for bringing their business tools into this century. They're selling Super Fantasy Brawl, Enchanters, and Steamwatchers to CMON. No news yet on exactly what CMON will be doing with these titles, but I'm sure we'll be seeing more of them in the future. Monolith has acquired Reichbusters and Solomon Kane from them. They're planning to streamline Reichbusters, and they're not ready to talk about Solomon Kane plans just yet. For me, I'm excited to see Solomon Kane in new hands with the prospect of new content to come. It should be interesting to see what comes of all of this, but again, Mythic still plans to deliver on all of their backlog of projects, starting with 6 Siege and Rise of Necromancers, and then working through a single project at a time. I'll keep my ear to the ground and let you know as soon as I hear more. Fulfillment is complete for the Mind MGMT and Secret Missions project. If you have any issues with your delivery, please notify Off the Page Games soon. They're working on a rulebook update that didn't make the deadline for printing this run. Honestly, I think this should have been more of a priority than pushing out new games, but hopefully there'll be a way to get printed versions on the cheap for backers. Malhya has dropped an autumn update and progress is looking pretty good. Their time at Essen went quite well, and they were able to demo the prototype for their next game, From the Moon there. They called in reinforcements to help with the translation and proofreading of all materials. They go on to give us a preview of two of the game's character types, the Wallen, a magical force to be reckoned with, and the Ankis, deadly warriors who live to settle matters up close and personal. The Pledge Manager is still open over on Gamefound and will be wrapping up early next year. They estimate the closing on January 16th, 2023. Spirit Island has posted their first and second post-campaign updates. The Pledge Manager is live and the pre-order store is up for late backers. Pre-orders will only be sent out after backer rewards are sent. The files for Nature Incarnate are ready to go and they've been sent to the printer for review. Hopefully things continue to move smoothly. And with a quickness that could cause whiplash, the first 1,000 backers who filled out their surveys and ordered some already existing Spirit Island products will see those already existing products heading their way very soon. Sadly, the next 1,000 won't see packages until around March. Restoration Games is apologizing for the lack of timely updates. They've been hard at work putting the finishing touches on everything and applying some tweaks to the monument sculpts, making them more dynamic and detailed. The art is all finalized and the technical review of the tower is complete. Updates to the app are in progress, and they expect to start fulfillment in July. So all in all, good news. On a side note, after 2 Backerkit updates in a row, please, for the love of gods, Backerkit, do something to make these ugly updates more readable and make them stand out a little. The campaign for Dark Venture ended last week with a bang, with many new stretch goals unlocking. The Rorgon Troll is getting a 4-color printed meeple, and it looks amazing. It almost makes me wish other creatures were getting the same treatment. They added the Pocket Dimension in the Arena expansion to act as a hub for players to get around the map easier at the cost of AP. The Dark Adventures app will now be getting an Android version. A new heroic quest was added to the core game and much more. The final Crawl expansion stretch goal was not quite met, but it might pop up in the Pledge Manager if we're lucky. Overall, they ended with over 70,000 in funding and just under 1,400 backers. Idols of Torment dropped a December update on us full of great news. They're working hard at finalizing the rules and they feel great about the final draft and are heading into finalizing the layout now. Samples of the second sprue have arrived and the samples look amazing. Last thing, remember that the Pledge Manager will be closing on December 30th. A quick update from the Zerywia reprint campaign offers some clear and significant progress. They're back to shipping out rewards from the original campaign. The boxes are made and the packages are en route. Late pledges will remain open until the end of January 2023. To cap it off, they gave us a glimpse at some spectacular work-in-progress sculpts from the reprint. We got another update on shipping for League of Dungeoneers. Shipping prices for non-US backers have been available for quite some time, but the US prices are still under negotiations. Thankfully, this isn't causing a delay with the fulfillment just yet. US shipment charges will be charged closer to the end of January 2023. Be on the lookout. Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum has already passed the 5,000 follower mark on Gamefound. Remember that followers will be getting a free Bane miniature when the project launches next year. They're already putting out updates detailing parts of the game on Gamefound. Keep an eye there or here for all the juicy details. So far, they've shown up the map tiles in the Welcome to the Madness update, showing how modular tiles can work together to form all kinds of fun scenarios. The next update introduces this scarecrow and shows off a painted and unpainted version of the miniature, which looks wicked. I love that the updates offer some of the comic context and the history for each of these characters. Black Rose Wars Rebirth have released a download for the English version of the rulebook, which is said to be finished. Then, later in the comments, they backpedal quite a bit, saying they still need proofing and a native speaker to clean it up. Sadly, it still looks like it could use a dash of love and TLC to get things to a good enough state. It's sad that they didn't really learn too many lessons from the original Black Rose Wars release. Hopefully fans will continue to be vocal and ask for better before it goes to print. I was thinking of making a whole separate video for this, but I really need to catch up on things, so here's another long segment. This time we're going to look at the fall update for Kingdoms Forlorn. If you aren't interested, feel free to use the timestamps to skip on ahead. I'll do my best to hit all the high notes here, and perhaps later on we can take a deeper dive. First and foremost, Aeon Trespass Odyssey is arriving at backers' doors, and from those who have played it, it seems to be a huge hit. Personally, I just got the tracking for mine the other day, and I'm waiting most impatiently for it. What does this have to do with Kingdoms Forlorn, though? Well, it signals the end of the grace period coming for the Pledge Manager. The grace period is set to end on the 1st or 2nd of January, and prices will be going up after that. So, one of the huge updates to the game covered here is the updates to almost every piece of the UI in the game. Things overall have gotten easier to read, more color-coded, better iconography, and in most cases, better art and layouts. I think perhaps the only update I wasn't completely thrilled with is the new enemy cards. I like the art style, but the UI graphics seem a bit too simple in this iteration. That's a personal preference though, and your mileage will vary. The new map cards are much easier on the eyes, easier to focus on, and the text and icons definitely stick out more. Overall, I think the changes made to them are fantastic. I do like how the sketches being brought into the background has made its way through the whole game. It really brings everything together nicely. The Big Fall update wasn't all about the UI though. One of the largest changes has been made to delve maps. The major kingdom maps are now pre-constructed to a point, meaning that landmarks and some layouts will be familiar and memorable. This doesn't pigeonhole you into starting from the same place all the time, and it doesn't keep the layout of a kingdom from shifting as time progresses. It just allows a bit more character to be built into the locations you'll be revisiting quite often. Each delve you will explore more, learning more about the dangers that await in each region. But as I said, things change. The deep fog can rearrange and reconfigure a kingdom almost at will, and the fog will be waiting at every corner to block your path or at least hinder it. There will also be advantages that you might seek by venturing into the fog to complete a quest before time runs out. The fog can be a potent tool, a shortcut, but it's dangerous and rarely predictable once inside. They've also been working on a new system for loot and gear upgrading. They wanted to move away from solely crafting in favor of looting in a way that more resembles dungeon crawlers. They also wanted to avoid the randomness that can be inherent in such systems. In Kingdoms Forlorn, you'll start with a set of random loot, native to where you are and what you're fighting. But throughout your quest, using abilities and choices, you'll build out the loot deck to mitigate the randomness, maybe call it stacking the deck a bit. As noted, loot is dependent on where you are and what you're fighting, but it also takes into consideration your progress as well. There will still be ultra-rare items available only by critting a monster or doing some other activities. The system they have worked out makes looting into more of a tactical system, allowing for player agency. Gear is upgraded by quality cards found in your loot decks. Different qualities will have different effects when applied to weapons or equipment. Some gear will have single quality slots, and others may have multiples. They also took a look at the ranks, investigation, and roams. A common complaint with the demo content was stopping and starting during a delve to resolve events only relating to a single night. They wanted to come up with a way of streamlining the systems without losing the depth. Throughout the main quest, each night will go through 20 levels, or 20 quests with 20 delves. You'll be able to continue your career well beyond that in the endgame though. Quests are divided into 5 ranks of growing difficulty. In each rank, each night will have a climactic quest or main mission. When one of the knights goes on a main mission, the other knights will accompany them with slightly lower stakes, being only on an investigation themselves. So every delve on a rotating basis, every knight will be the main character, or the lead of the story. This should both speed up the delves and give everyone a moment to really shine. Investigations are a type of quest. At the end of the main mission, you'll be given several different leads that you can investigate. Each investigation will offer you a reward for completing it, such as a knight ability, a peril arc, a heroic arc, and so on. So while the main missions may force some of your knight's progressions, you can control and customize it through the investigations that you choose to undertake. Finally, there are roams. Roams are a bit of a free roam through a region hunting monsters without the high stakes of an investigation. You can gain tactical experience, some gold, and loot along the way. Roams are more of a way to train than anything else currently. In the miniature department, they shared a few amazing sculpts with us. I'm all the more excited by seeing these after seeing the quality of the ATO miniatures. The First Men and the White Ape Troll look vicious, and the Holy Dragon, while smaller than I envisioned, exceeded my expectations in form and detail. They've been making great progress with many of the clashes and monsters. They give some tactical details about the Panzergeists, the White Bog Witch, the Puppet King, First Men, and the White Ape Troll. An update to the TTS demo is now available, showing off the new UI and a new monster type. Have fun with the White Ape Troll clash in the new update. On the component side, they've been putting thought into materials, storage solutions, ease of use, and ease of transportation. They found a way to have even more varied terrain tiles in the game, so hopefully we'll get a good look at that in a future update. They've also pretty much decided to split the core box into 2 boxes to allow transport, shipping, and organization to be more efficient. The way they hope to do it is by having the core game and Principality of Stone in a single box, and the Sunken Kingdom in another box, so that it aligns more with the other expansions. The end of the year update will be hosted on the ATO campaign updates, and will include even more greatness and details. If you happen to get in on the Riffle pre-order for Too Many Bones from Chip Theory Games, Riffle has landed at the fulfillment hubs and is now in the process of being shipped out. In the US, they're waiting on their turn in the Quartermaster Logistics line, which seems to be quite long these days. In Canada, QML will send the stock north as soon as they can. For the UK and Europe, Spiral Galaxy is shipping daily and some have already been delivered. In Asia and Australia, VFI has copies heading to fulfillment hubs around the regions. Battle Systems sent out their holiday newsletter, and with it we get a quick Maladum Dungeons of Enveron update. Tooling is underway for the miniatures, and resin masters are starting to show up at the studio for inspection. This time around, they want to have the rulebook ready for backers' eyes before the project launches, and so far it's looking quite nice. The layout looks workable, and hopefully it's well written and organized. The rules are close to finish, and now they have plenty of time for tweaking them. Maladum will be launching in early 2023. This week we have a fulfillment update for Frosthaven. Things are really picking up with all of the North American containers having left China. They're starting to ship orders containing add-ons, and they're sitting at about 15% completion right now. In Canada, they ran into more red tape and custom changes, but shipping should start this week. In the EU and rest of the world, all containers have left China. In Europe, the first containers have arrived and are nearing the hubs. For the UK, the containers are inbound to Spiral Galaxy. Fulfillment will begin in the new year. For Australia and New Zealand, containers are inbound to Aetherworks, and fulfillment will begin in the new year. For Asia and the South Pacific, containers are at sea, and packages are making their way to hubs from factories. Skyrise is back from PAX Unplugged, and they've gotten in some samples for review. The game board, punch boards, and player boards have all been approved. The sample view of the collector's box is also looking quite nice. Several videos of Phantom Epoch have started to make their way to YouTube. Their latest update highlights a full playthrough of the first full mission in the demo copy by Board Game Officer. There's also a TTS mod on the Steam Workshop if anyone wants to try it out for themselves. My first video on the project is in editing now. Company of Heroes has posted another quick update to check in with backers. They're still busy going through each item, task, and responsibility to see where they're at with each. They're also re-verifying all the manufacturing costs and timelines. They're still waiting on a couple of details before updating the path forwards and timeline, but that should be coming soon. In retail news, we're continuing to get teases of what's to come next year, and it's looking like a hell of a year. AMG have revealed the Star Wars Legion Boba Fett Daimyo figure, rules, and cards. I for one know I'm getting this one, even if it doesn't fit in my army. Fallout Wasteland Warfare has released new packs of the Budblugs and Stingwings. These little monsters are ready to rip your survivors to shreds. For Marvel Crisis Protocol, AMG has announced new and updated crisis cards. These function as battle scenarios and have been in short supply throughout the game's lifespan. Hopefully this is just the beginning for crisis cards and other forms of directed play. These cards are available for print and play now and will be printed next year. The Agent Venom and Spider-Woman packs have hit pre-order for MCP, and the Web Warrior Affiliation pack has been announced and is ready for pre-order as well. We got a look at the initial terrain packs for Star Wars Shatterpoint, which are titled High Ground and Take Cover. Both look to be Tatooine themed and highly modular. Finally, for AMG news, they've released the long-awaited Star Wars Legion's point change in a bid to balance the game a bit, seen as a whole host of new packs and expansions have been introduced this year. Check out the changes for yourself at the link in the video description. New releases for the last few weeks include the MCP Brotherhood of Mutants Affiliation Pack, the Weapon X Program Pack, the Blob and Pyro Pack, and the Uncanny X-Men Affiliation Pack. The Elder Scrolls Skyrim adventure game has slid onto shelves, sadly ahead of many backers actually receiving their copies. This is a trend I wish would die in a fire. Backers should always get their copies ahead of retail, period. It's been quite a week again, and that the news waits for no one rings true these days. I have a quick campaign guide coming up in a day or so for SAS Rogue Regiment, and an unboxing for the Phantom Epoch demo copy in editing. My month in review video is also in the works. I've also started the voting for the Critical Fail Viewers' Choice Awards in posts on the community tab for the channel. I'm posting several different award categories, and you, the viewers, can vote for your favorite or favorites in each category. Check out the community tab on the channel page to find all the categories, and leave a comment with your vote. Each category will be open for voting for 1 week. We started with the most anticipated game being delivered in 2023, and I'll be adding new categories every 3 days for the next little while. Thanks to everyone watching, commenting, and voting. A new year is almost here and big things are coming. Have a great one and play something fun this week.